So, welcome to a Smelly Cat Creations video. It's my first time using DaVinci Resolve, so bear with me. And it's the first time doing a voiceover. This is for the Maker X from the Worx. So I'm going to make in here a Maker X themed lamp. So this is the kit here that you can see in the box, and get a whole range of tools in there. Well, you buy them individually, but this is obviously the almost like the little sort of Dremel rotary device. Then you've got the soldering iron, which is I use a lot. I use the soldering iron the most, to be honest. And then we've got a hot air gun, and the other parts I've got are the mini angle grinder or the mini grinder carver. This is a great little device, and first time I've used this. This is the little airbrush. So it's a little self-contained airbrush with its pump built into the base, which is pretty smart. Doesn't need a little compressor tank or anything. It's all built into that base. And then you get this little box of accessories, apart from the bottom left, this one here, which is obviously a an additional saber-tooth carving disc. All these other little parts. So this flappy disc here, that comes in the kit, and you get all these other little accessories. Each part of the kit is purchased separately. You can buy starter packs which come with sort of 3 of these parts. I think the only one I'm missing is the glue gun. So we're going to use this block of oak in this video, and some of these gin bottles. I took 2 because I knew they wouldn't be easy to cut because they're thick. And then what I've done here is I decided I'd try and copy the color scheme of the sort of the Maker X. So we've got the orange that sort of very similar, and I've got the white, black, to try and follow the color scheme of the Maker X. And what I've done is I didn't like the boring old white, so we painted this light fixture in the sort of Maker X orange. And then I used to make a lot of these lamps, so I used a lot of copper pipe here. So the copper pipe was going to hold the bottle to the back plate, and then obviously you've got your copper pipe fixings, which are going to make it a little bit more interesting. And then I've got some this braided mains cable. It's just a 2-core lamp cable. And then with that, we're gonna use the LED bulb. So these are the fixings, just a standard sort of bayonet bulb fixing. Just your 2 wires go on there, your live and neutral. And then what I did to paint this was I just give it a little keyed it up a little bit with some 240 grit sandpaper, just to give it something for the paint to attach to. So I just give that a little scuff up on there. And then the paint's got much better chance of grabbing and sticking to the light fixture. This is a spray paint grip promoter, so it helps it plastic. I believe it's a plastic one. And then over the top of that, went straight on with the orange Cobra spray paint, and that's what this turned out like here. So as you can see, it's now nice and sort of Maker X style orange. So that's the light fixture done. I was originally going to make 2 of these, but I went with the one in the end because I knew how tough the bottles were going to be. Cutting thick glass bottles is certainly not an easy thing to do. It gives you a lot of issue when they're thick bottles, trying to get them to snap nicely, and you'll see later in the video exactly what I mean by that. So first off, we're going to jump straight in with the mini angle grinder, and I'm going to throw on the carving wheel, the little saber-tooth carving wheel. We're just going to stick that onto this little mini angle grinder, and that's going to allow us to add some sort of contours to the backing plate. I'm just trying to make it a bit more interesting. Got a little lock button on the side there that locks the wheel, and then just with the provided Allen key, you can take this center section out and replace the wheel straight over. So it's got a cutting wheel on it at the moment. We're going to take that off and throw the carving disc on there. I've actually got two of these. I've got a green one and a white one. I didn't use the white one in this video. I just used the green one. The different discs are different grit, basically, like grit. So this is a harsh one, I think, or sort of, I think this is nearer the sort of one for ripping off more wood at a time. Stick that all back in the box, and yes, off we go. So here's your battery. It's a power share battery. Got your little LED lights, fully charged on the side there. It's best to make sure you've got a good battery when you're going to use this carving mini carver, because it does need quite a bit of power. And that's your speed control on the section. These are all just plug and play. So you're literally just going to take this 3-pin plug. It literally just pushes in and off you go. You can just pull that straight out, plug and play straight onto the next tool. Just push the power button, and there's also a power button on the side of the mini grinder. So you push that one on, select the sort of speed you want for it, and then you've got another power button on the side of the grinder there to get things going. So this is the first time I've really used any of these tools properly, apart from the soldering iron, which I use a lot. I've just sped this up because, let's face it, everybody has a short attention span. So a lot of this video has been sped up just to try and keep you interested and to speed through it, so hopefully you don't have to skip. So just stuck these sort of domed, shall we say, carvings on the side, and then I'm just going to carve in an X for the Maker X in the front face of the oak there. The wheel does a really good job of ripping through the wood. If you really bed it in, if you really plunge that cutter into hardwood, yes, it will bog down, but it is a cordless tool. But it does, a really nice job of just carving away on the wood there. Because it's nice and small, you can get it into pretty decent areas. Doesn't grab, and as you can see, I've got it standing up right there. It's quite easy to handle. It's got a nice rubber grip on the machine as well. So what we're going to do is now I'm going to pull that carving wheel off. So now the carving wheel is coming off, and I'm going to move over to another disc. So this is my first time using DaVinci Resolve, which is my new video editing software that I'm using. And yeah, so I haven't done a voiceover before, so bear with me, bear with my editing. I've sped some of this up to make it shorter. It was like 2 hours long when I first finished this. So I've put the cutting wheel on there now, or the chop off cutting wheel. I'm going to use this to cut some of the copper pipe. I tried to use the sort of Maker X tools as much as possible in this video without using any extra tools. So this is where I'm going to drill the hole. The hole's going to go in there to attach to copper pipe. I just need copper pipe that's going to go into that back piece of wood, and then come down, and then at an angle mount the bottle onto it. So I've got my rough dimensions, which I've sort of sketched onto the there you go. You can see my black pen marks. Almost lost the bottle there. And we're gonna chop that off. So plug and play again, plug it straight back in. And normally, yes, I won't lie. Normally, I'd use a pipe cutter, so make sure I get a nice symmetrical, clean cut. But that wouldn't be showing you the tools, would it? So it does. This chops through it, no problem at all. Make sure if you've got it nice and straight, to be honest, it all works fine. I just linished the ends of it afterwards just to sort of clean it up, and it was no problem. So you can see there, as it snags a little bit when the disc is deep, it bogs down a bit, but other than that, it's perfectly fine. Cuts through this really nice and easily. And we'll chop off our 2 bits of brass pipe there, ready to use on the lamp, and they're hot. So these are our connections. They're just going to go on there to our 90-degree angles. Now what I'm going to do is, this is the hot air tool, the hot blow tool air gun on the Maker X. I'm going to use this to take the labels off the bottles. like I say, I tried to think of something I could use every sort of tool for. So I don't really want the labels on the bottles. I want to make them as sort of glass and see-through and transparent as possible. So just going to heat these labels up with the air gun, and then that should allow me to start peeling off the edges, because they're on there nice and strong. You can just see the edge peeling up now. Yep, there we got that. So that's come off. It does produce quite a nice amount of heat. You can, so there's many uses for this. You could use this, I imagine, on the top of curing, you know, once you've poured resin to get air bubbles out, etc. So that's the label stripped off, and then I need to remove the sticky glue off of the bottles. So to remove the sticky glue, my good old friend, the old WD-40. You can't go wrong with a bit of WD-40. It's great for stripping off grease, dirt, and sticky stuff. So it's got the old sticky glue off there with the WD-40. Give it a good scrub. See if there's genie in the bottle. And you'll see here, that is the mark. So I have tried doing it with the old bottle cutter. It's too thick. I did score a line around it. Tried the old hot water, cold water, which normally works fine, but it didn't work on this occasion because the glass is too thick. So what we're going to go with, and this is messy, is this is a diamond bit cutting disc. So you're going to get your old goggles on there, and I don't recommend doing this. It's not the nicest. I'm literally going to cut through the whole bottle through the bottom. So I'm just going to grind around the entire bottle with this diamond wheel. I have done it before. I did it with some Jack Daniel's bottles, which are obviously square and very hard to cut. So I did it with my Jack Daniel's bottled lamps, and you can see here what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to go slowly. You see it chipping a bit. This is where this is the problem with using the diamond wheel. It will chip the glass. That's where you need to try and go slow. Don't go through. And as you can see, I didn't get a completely clean. I didn't get a completely clean parallel cut. So I didn't get that clean parallel cut. But don't worry. I'm going to show you. All is not lost. Don't just throw that in the bin and just say, "Oh, that was scrap." No. We're going to save that. We're going to save that because that's part of it, isn't it? You got to get out of these problems. So I'm going to fix that. I'm not going to accept that it's a scrap. So throw away the old, take the old diamond wheel off. Now we're just going to put a little deburring wheel in there, a little sanding wheel. And I'm just going to go around now and just take off any sharp edges off the bottom of the bottle where I've cut it. So that's going to come off there. And as you can see, that this does get glass dust everywhere. So to be honest with you, you're also probably better off with some gloves as well, latex gloves. But I don't advise anybody doing this, to be honest, really. It's not a nice process, but I'm just showing you the tools can do this. So I'm just literally cleaning up the edges, taking away any sharp edges. And here's the hole I put in there with a Forstner bit and a big force, and I use Forstner bits on the back that's where the cable's going to run, and then there's going to be a chocolate electrical block in the center of that big hole. This is where the copper pipe's going to go. It's got a big bell on it. Yep, we need to get rid of that. So back to the rotary tool. We're just going to linish off that burr so we can get that to go in there, mount that inside the wood. And so there we go. That's those burrs taken off. Give it a good shove. It will go in there. It'll go in there. Obviously, a tight fit is better anyway. You don't want the bottle flopping. And then what I've done is I've drilled a hole straight through the top of the bottle cap. Use a Forstner bit for that again as well. I have a Forstner bit specifically for copper pipe. It's a really tight fit. Because like I say, I used to make quite a lot of these lamps, to be honest, when I first started. I used to do quite a lot of spirit bottle lamps. And this is how it's going to mount on there like that. So we've got our copper. Just going to give this little scuff up, make it look a little bit more interesting. I also sometimes go with a blowtorch idea where I blowtorch it to get colours coming out of the pipe. But on this one, I'm just going to go with the old Scotch-Brite, scuff it up to give it a sort of grained, polished look. Can't go wrong with a bit of Scotch-Brite there. There's all our bits scuffed up. Now, usually what I would do is I'd actually do the proper method of fluxing it and soldering the pipe with a plumber's blowtorch. That if I was making these normally, that's the method I'd go with, but trying to make it a bit more accessible for everybody who'd want maybe try this. So on this occasion, I'm going to go with the 2-part epoxy. I'm going to use that to glue this all in place. It's most people are more likely to have some 2-part epoxy than they are a plumber's blowtorch. So just going to get some of that on the pipe there. Little dib dab. Stick that in there. There we go. The plumber's the actual soldering it would be better. I won't lie to you. Just give it a clean off. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, like and subscribe, all helps. And also check out the especially Instagram is where you'll find most of my stuff. But I need to, now I've got some new equipment, and a new internet, which you might have seen. I'll be getting on to doing some more videos. Should start to become a bit easier, especially as I get better at this DaVinci Resolve and video editing. I'm very slow at it at the minute, I will not lie. So just get that all on there. That is the whole assembly now finished for the bottle mounting. So I'm just going to take this, take the old cut-off wheel. As you can see, the mini grinder is very versatile. There's got a lot of options, a lot of things you can use it for. And I'm going to throw on there the little sanding wheel, flappy sanding wheel. So these are very useful. I use these a lot on my big angle grinders, especially for scurfing off metal, etc. They're great for getting rid of rust. So these little scurf flappy discs, straight back in, pull it out, plug and play. And yeah, I mean, I probably should have been wearing that respirator, to be honest, when I was cutting the glass bottle. But maybe I was, maybe I wasn't. So stick that on there. Off we go again. I'm just coming in basically to sort of smooth these little carving parts out, because although they're all fine, just make them a little bit smoother with the flappy disc, because the sanding disc gets you a bit of a nicer finish than the carving disc. Carving disc obviously does leave some sort of tooth marks. So I'm just going to whiz around this, just stick some, smooth it out, and just take off the sharp edges of the block. Just sort of going around the whole thing there. You could do anything with this. You could make any. If you go back through my Instagram, see some of my earlier posts, you'll see I've done so many different types of lamps, lights, wall lights, a lot of desk lights. Not necessarily so many, not as many wall lights, but there's a lot of desk lights, and all different. Every light I tried to make a different theme, a different idea to go with it, so that there's quite a few different ones. I still had loads in my head of ideas, but like I say, I haven't made lamps as much for a long time now. Maybe I'll go back to making some more at some point, but they're not always worth what they sell for. Isn't always worth the amount of time you've got to put in to make one. They are quite time consuming if you want to make them interesting. So we're just gonna quickly stick some tape over this, and I'm gonna try and my idea was that I was going to come in here now with the Cobra spray paint. The Cobra's the main spray paints I use. I'm really happy with them. I was going to come in here and I was going to spray this with some of the old orange. Within about 2 seconds, I looked at that and went, no, that's crap. Let's get rid of that. And I'm not the biggest resin fan anymore, just for its environmental reasons, but I know resin would certainly make this look a lot better than that spray paint did. It's good spray paint, but it didn't give me the achieved look I wanted in the wood. So this is just some Vista resin. Vista resin is the main resin that I've been using lately. So throw in there some of the older orange mica powder, which is once again pretty similar to the Maker X color orange. Just going to mix that up and throw that in there. That'll look much better than the paint, I have to say. Little blowtorch, get the air bubbles out. Boom, we're back. So that's it, that's cured now. The bits I don't show you in these videos is the sanding. So what I did was, I told you I wasn't going to scrap that bottle. I 3D printed a base for it. So this is a 3D printed. I just quickly mocked up this idea. I've done it before. Just quickly mocked up this idea and 3D printed this this ring that basically makes it look parallel and hides the cut bottom. I could have maybe have done it in. Could have done it another color, or could, you know, normally I wouldn't make the ring as tall as that, but it was quite off the cut. So, and like magic, I will the sanding will just be done in the background, and you won't see that because people they don't have the patience to be watching long videos. So the wire is just threaded the braided wire through there. This is where it's going to run through this copper pipe, and I couldn't find many ideas for using the soldering iron in this project, even though the soldering iron is actually my most used tool in the Maker X kit. I do use the soldering iron quite a lot. I've used it quite a lot on repairing my laser, my CO2 laser, and I do find it really handy because obviously the battery lasts a long time, and it's a nice little precise soldering iron. So this is the little soldering iron. It's got a rubber handle on this as well. Plug that in, turn it on, and the actual wheel, the control there doesn't really make any difference. You set the power, you set the temperature on the soldering iron. So you've got your power button, and then you've got your up and down temperature buttons. So that's saying that it's going to heat to 480, and get that in there. You can see how fast that is heating up. It heats up really fast. You haven't got to wait long at all for this to get up to the sort of temperature you want to run it at. There is actually a little stand in the kit as well, just to sort of sit it on. So I'm just going to dip my wires. Like I say, this was just I wouldn't normally probably even stick solder on the end of these wires if they're going in an electrical block, but just to give the soldering iron some use, we've stick some flux on the wire there. It's just coming up to its final temperature now. So let's get that up to temperature. I'm just going to solder these wires and show you that it works. But slap that on there, so that's up to temperature. Slap a bit of solder on. Very handy though. The soldering iron is so handy. Used to use gas ones. Used to use little gas soldering irons, but they always seem to knacker. They always seem to break, whether the gas leaks out of them or whatever. So yeah, I'm really happy with the soldering iron on this. Now we need to, I've got to attach that. That's going to have to go on there. So that's basically just those soldered connections are going to go into here. You've got your live and your neutral that are going to go in. I am not a qualified electrician, so don't copy me. You've got to sell that sort of stuff, haven't you, these days? Don't fall down a hole. You just got to say it all, really. So we're just going to slap some paint on it, just to try and make the sort of 3D printed ring a little bit more interesting. It's stands out like a bit like a sore thumb with the older pure white against it. Even though the Maker X is obviously white, I want to put some orange for the Maker X in there, and I'm going to put a little bit of the old black on there. This is the sort of technique I often use, is the old spongy dib dab dob. Just sort of like splodge it on, scuff it off, splodge it on, scuff it off, good to go. Adds a little bit of colour, a little bit of texture and variety. And I also taped off, as you can see, I taped off just above the ring with some masking tape to try and make sure I didn't get it on the glass bottle itself. And I'm just going to go back over it with some white just to sort of dull out the black and the orange, so that they don't stand out too much. They're there, but I don't want them to be too much. So there's that. That's that done, and now we're just gonna run the cables through. So that's got to go on. I will say I didn't forget to put the little top part on first, and then realised, bollocks, I'm going to take that back off and put the top part of the bayonet fixing on. So just stick them in there, and then there's I normally would use a sort of antique. I normally go with a sort of an antique or gunmetal grey metal bayonet fixing, but I had a lot of these white ones, so I thought I would use up one of those on this project. So I'm just trying to basically, there's like little fixing sections that you can fold the wires around to hold them in place to stop them pulling out. So I've got that screwed on, I'll screw that on there, and straight back on with the bottom, that's screwed on, and then that's it for that section. This is the LED bulb that's going to go in there. It's a short bayonet LED bulb. Energy saving, you're going to need some of that now with these ridiculous bloody electric costs, and get that LED. And so this is my very first time, it's pretty much my first time using a you know, one of them little, airbrushes. That's the kiddie there. So this is my first time using one, and I wasn't quite sure how it was going to go. This is, there we go. I'm just trying to have a little test, work out what's going on here, because like I say, I haven't used one, didn't know what to expect, didn't know how it was going to spray. So what I thought I'd do is come in here, add some sort of black details around the just around the outside of the carvings that I added in there. So I'm just coming in. I'm really just trying to get to sort of grips with how this little airbrush works. So don't expect to see any amazing airbrushing at this stage. I'm just sort of trying to work out. It's got its sort of push down button, and then you got the push it down to spray it, and then you sort of pull it back to get more paint coming out. Like I say, I'm working it out as I go along. You can just pull that off the top of the little pump thing and put any extra paints in you want, clear it out. So I'm just clearing out the black now, and I'm replacing it with some white paint, which I'm going to come in the center, and I think, and then add some details. I think the more I use this, the more I probably would get better at it, obviously, like anything. So I'm just literally filling in the centers with some of the white paint, making it up as I go along, basically. And yeah, so I think with some practice I could get pretty good with the airbrush, but yeah, that was my first try. So as you can see, it is now fully, I've skipped a bit, as you can tell, just to make it quicker. So what I did do on this was added some gloss, and there's some fixing holes on the back. And this is what it will look like basically when it is mounted on the wall. And in a minute, as magic shall happen, we shall see what it looks like, boom, in the dark. And there it is. Got two like this in my conservatory. So this is the Maker X video with the Maker X lamp. Like, share and subscribe if you liked that. I tried to keep it short and shouldn't have to skip. So thanks for watching, and come back again. See you all soon.